शङ्करांश भूम शङ्करार्यपीठसद्गुरुन् शुद्धसत्त्वभासुरान् सुवर्त्मनीतभूसुरान् सर्वभूतसौख्यदान् क्षमाकरान् यतीश्वरान्
श्रीमतां देशिकेन्द्राणां पादपद्मे नमाम्यहम् मन्दोऽपि वन्दनान् येषां निन्देतु गुरुतुल्यताम् विस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् श्रीगुरुचरणद्वन्द्वम् वन्देहं पतितदुस्सहद्वन्द्वम् भ्रान्तिग्रहोपशान्तिम् वां सुमयं यस्य भसितम् आतनुते. So that is the shloka for this Svatmanirupanam. The last class we discussed the meaning of that shloka. So now 101. So in shloka number 100 it was stated that the Atmajnani will see everything as Brahman alone, and apart from Brahman, that is apart from his own Atman, he doesn't see anything as different from himself. That is the idea stated in the shloka. Esha vishesho vidusham pashyantopi prapancha samsaram kritagatmano na kinchit pashyayuhu sakala nigama saram. So, question was asked, if the world is going to remain even after the person gets enlightened, the others, that is the Ajnanis, are also there, this Jnani is also there, both of them will be contacting the world. What is the difference it makes to the Jnani especially? For that the reply was that in the case of the Jnani, even though he is seeing the world of senses through his sense organs, that is through the body-mind complex, that is the instrument which the Jnani, that is the Atman has, he will not see that world as distinct from himself, whereas the ignorant ones will see it as distinct from themselves. That is a difference. So he will see everything as Atman alone, appearing as those objects, and which is unreal also. Whereas the ignorant ones will see the world as distinct from themselves and as real also. So that is the distinction between the Jnani. So now, in the next shloka, the way the Jnani will see and enjoy the Advaita Jnanam, even though he is contacting the world, how he will, what his attitude towards the Atma Swarupam will be. That is being stated here. Idanim evam Advaita Vasanaya Sthitanam Brahmanishtanam Jnana Kartavyatwadi Dharmajatam Nasti Ityaha. So for the Jnani, there is nothing that he needs to know, and there is nothing that he needs to do. So in all the Vyavahara, that is Avidya, that is Ajnanam, there these two things are very, very prominent. That is, I have to know something and I have to do something. So knowing something is with a view to do something, and the desire to do something is very, very prominent for any person who is in the Ajnanam. So he will be contacting the world, and he will be always intent upon doing something or the other with a view to achieve something, and through that to get some satisfaction or whatever. So for that he has to know. There is a sequence also. That is how the psychology works also. It is janati, ichati and karoti. That is, first a person comes to know of something. The best example will be how advertisements or promotions they have an impact on us. So the advertiser wants to inform us about some object which is which he wants to sell, and we get informed about the object, and then desire about the object develops because of that information, and then ultimately it spreads into buying it or doing something to buy it, or applying for a loan to buy it and things like that. So all these stuff. So janati, ichati and karoti. So these three, this is how the world works. Whereas in the Jnani's case, there is nothing to know, because whatever needs to be known is already known by him. That is, Brahman alone needs to be known by him, and that is known by him. And whatever needs to be achieved is not there for him at all, because the knowledge of Brahman will give him the ultimate achievement, because within that knowledge, everything is sublimated. So that is why we have a very beautiful shloka in the second chapter of the Gita. Yavanartha udapane samprutodakam davan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. So here, the analogy of a person having a huge reservoir of water around him, that is given there in the shloka. Yavanartha udapane sarvata samprutodakam. He sees he has a huge reservoir of water. For him, that or which is at his disposal, he doesn't have to go for taking water from any other place, or any of his water needs are met there itself. So the same example is given. This example is given by the Gita for the state of the Jnani. For him, there is nothing to be achieved anew, because in that greatest achievement called Brahman knowledge, everything is already present there. That is the highest ananda. All small anandas are all already they are integrated within that, inherent within that huge ananda. So he doesn't have to look for small anandas, because he has got the greatest ananda himself. And the Shruti also tells us that every ananda, any jiva experiences by contacting any sense object or whatever, is only a reflection or a warped manifestation of that Maha Ananda, that is the Brahmananda. So this Jnani, having had that Brahmananda itself, he won't be looking for any small things at all. So that is the crux of it. So here in this shloka also that's being stated here. Kim chintyam, kim achintyam, kim kathaniyam, kim apyakathaniyam, kim krityam, kim akrityam, nikhilam tadati janantam vidusham. So this shloka is very nice, and we are immediately reminded of a shloka by Sadashiva-Brahmendra, which is almost on the same lines. It's a very small shloka, just 4 lines. Sarvam Brahmamayam, Re Sarvam Brahmamayam. You can look for it in the net, YouTube. So many people have sung it. So here the song starts like this. Sarvam Brahmamayam, Re, everything is Brahman. Oh, everything is Brahman. Kim vachaniyam, kim avachaniyam, kim rachaniyam, kim arachaniyam. That is what needs to be said, because there is nothing needs to be said at all, because to convey to someone, there is no someone at all, and to say something, there is no subject matter at all. Kim rachaniyam, kim arachaniyam. Nothing needs to be conceived of. And there needs to be refrained from conceiving of. So nothing needs to be said. Nothing needs to be. There is no need to refrain from saying something. So there is no need to conceive something, and there is no need to refrain from conceiving something. That is how it is. Then kim pataniyam, kim apataniyam. There is nothing to be read, and there is nothing to be refrained from reading. Kim bhajaniyam, kim abhajaniyam. There is nothing to be based or some whatever devotion and all that also is covered here. Kim bodhavyam, kim abodhavyam. What needs to be known and what needs to be different from knowing. Kim bhoktavyam, kim abhoktavyam. What needs to be enjoyed and where is the need to be refrained, where is the need to refrain from any enjoyment. Sarvatra sada hamsa dhyanam kartavyam go mukti nidanam. So the teaching of this shloka of this kirtanam is given in the last line. Sarvatra sada hamsa dhyanam. So always, in all occasions, sadhaka has to meditate or contemplate upon that Supreme Brahman, Hamsa, that is Supreme Brahman. Kartavya, that is the only thing he has to do. Kartavyam ho mukti nidanam. That is the way for liberation. So that's how Sadashiva-Brahmendra gives a message also. So this shloka of the Svatmanirupanam also is of the same type. Kim chintyam, kim achintyam. What needs to be contemplated and what needs to be refrained from contemplation. Kim kathaniyam, kim akathaniyam. What needs to be said and what needs to be kept as a secret. Then kim krityam, kim akrityam. What needs to be done and what needs to be refrained from doing. Nikhilam taditi janatam vidusham. So everything for this jnani, everything is Brahman alone. There is nothing apart from Brahman. So for such a person, there is nothing need to be done or achieved. So in the commentary, we get a lot of good inputs also. Kim kinchit padartha jatam chintyam vicharaniyam kim kimapi achintyam achintaniyam api. There is nothing to be built upon, and there is nothing different from contemplating, because there is nothing apart from Brahman itself. So kimapi kathaniyam vidheyeshu kim api akataniyam gopyam atyanta rahasyamapi kim kinchit kim. So there is nothing to be conveyed to anybody, or there is nothing to be refrained or held back as a secret. So that is also not there, because these two are opposites. That's why all opposites are taken here. So they are saying something and refraining from saying something. So these two are opposites. So these two opposites are transcended by this jnani in all respects. All types of dualities and opposites have been transcended by him. Because anything we say in the world is only relative. So if we openly say something, it is relative to maintaining some secrecy about something. And if we are if it is about contemplating, it is the opposite of refraining from contemplating of something else. So this is how it is. This is how the dualities are placed also in Prakriti. So since he has transcended Prakriti, all types of dualities are meaningless for him. So kinchit krityam kartavyam kimapi akartavyam. So there is nothing that is to be done, and there is nothing to be refrained from doing. So doing and non-doing are transcended by him. So nikilam sarvam taditi brahmeti vijanatam jnanavatam vidusham tatvajnanam dehendriyadi adhyasa abhavat aptakamattvadi shrutehe. So he is now giving a reference to the Gadharanic passage, where the ultimate attainment is being articulated very nicely. So he says, this commentator Acharya says that since everything is Brahman for him, and since the body-mind complex is only a position, and that superimposition also has gone for him, so there is nothing at all for him to do or refrain from doing. Because doing involves body-mind complex, and non-doing also involves the restraint of body-mind complex. So since he is above all of this, there is no chance of any dualities, any kind of dualities in his life. So this is, of course, the body-mind complex will be doing certain things, but that is not for the Atman. That is the idea here. Conveyed here. The Shruti Vakyam is like this: Kamayamano ata akamayamano yo akamaha nishkamaha atmakamaha aptakamaha iti Shrutehe. So the meaning of this is so beautiful. Kamayamanaha is someone who is desiring something. Ata akamayamanaha, something there is nothing to be different also. So he doesn't have any desires at all. So to be he has gone about his all desires. Yo akamaha nishkamaha. So this person who is free from all desires, or from him, desires have all left him. It is not that he has left the desires. Desires have all left him because of his great practice before attaining this knowledge. All desires have left him. Then Atma. So if anything can be said to be desired, it is only Atman, because only with the view to because he has desired Atman, the highest, than everything else in creation, he was a mukshu, and he was able to attain this knowledge. Because to attain this knowledge also, one has to desire for that Brahman or Atman, even though it is one's own self. So that desire for attaining the Atman or knowing the Atman or knowing Brahman is above every other desire. So that's how he has prioritized in his life. So all other desires are all secondary, or they are not there for him, or only when they are only gauna. That is, it is only as if they are there, only to maintain his body. But then his sole desire is to know the Atman when he was a mukshu. But now he has already known it. He is aptakam. That is, he has already attained it. So atmakama was there for him before. Now he is aptakam. That is, he has attained everything. There is nothing need to be attained anew. And again, we can go back to that Gita shloka that we recalled now. And also, the Taittiriya Upanishad so beautifully mentions that Brahmavid apnoti param resha bhyukta satyam jnanam anantam brahma Yoveda Nihitam Guhayam Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha. So the person who has attained Brahman and who has actually identified himself with Brahman, he, the Shruti says that he enjoys or experiences all desires. So Shankaracharya in his commentary says, he asks a question, is it like ordinary people experiencing one thing after the other? Like, for example, at one time they might like to have a very tasty dinner, and at some other time they might like to go for a very good picnic or something like that, or see some natural picnic spots they might choose and go there, or they might hear some songs and all that. So these are all bhogas. But then this is not the kind of attaining one after the other in a sequential order. For him, in the case of the Jnani, everything is attained in one shot. So how is it possible? So the meaning is, it's not something physically, the meaning is not literally. What it means is, in Brahman, all anandas are inherent in Brahman. They are all sublimated in Brahman. So attaining that Brahman will mean that everything is attained by him. So that's what it is. That's what the Shruti also says there. So Ashnate Sarvan Kaman Saha. Ashnate is literally eating or enjoying. So he all kamas, all kinds of desires he gets. But then what it means is, all desires are supplemented in that one ananda. So all other anandas are only reflections or small stations or small forms of that Maha Ananda itself. So that is the message of this shloka also. And the Shruti Vakyam also says that only Atma Kamaha, Apta Kamaha. So his sole desire was to attain the Atman. And now he has attained it, so he is Apta Kamaha. And in that attainment, everything stands attained. There is nothing which is wanting for him. So in the next shloka, the Acharya introduces the next shloka this way. Idanim tadrishanam tattvajnaninam bandhamokshadi vyavaharopi nasti idyaha. So for such kind of a jnani, there is no such thing as bondage and liberation, because bondage and liberation, they are only related to each other. But then is that sole reality, ultimate paramarthika satyam, which is beyond all relative things at all. So it transcends all relativity. So bandha is related to moksha, and moksha is also related to bandha. So only when bandha is admitted, moksha is having some meaning. But then in this jnanam, it is known by him, by experience, that he was never ever bound at all. That is the beauty of this Advaita jnanam. So before attaining this jnanam, in the sadhaka state, a person will be aiming for attaining this liberation. But when he knows truly what it is really, what Brahman is really, the nature of Brahman, he will also come to know that Brahman is not something which is liberated. No, it was not bound at all to be liberated. So bondage is also illusory. Liberation also is illusory, only related to bondage. That is the idea. Nichiram drishya vishesham drikrupatena pasyatam vidusham bandho napi namuktihi nasa paramatmatvam jivatvam. So Nikhilam drishya vishesham, all the entire objectified world, that is the world of physical objects and the world of mental ideas and all that, everything is drishyam. Drishyam means everything is object for this witness, that is the Atman, with which alone he has identified himself. So he has disidentified himself from the body mind complex and the outside world, and identified solely with the Atma Surupam. Nikhilam drishya vishesham dilkarupatvena pashyatam vidusham. So he sees everything as an object. Again, it is not a contradiction from what was said earlier about a sloka earlier, because there are two slokas earlier, where it was said that he doesn't see anything else apart from him. Now, this statement is not contradictory to that. It is only supplementary to it. What it means is apart from himself, there is nothing at all existing at all. Nothing really existing at all. That is the idea. So, Nikhilam Driksha Vishesham, Dilkrupena Pashyatam Vidusham. So, whatever object is there, that will be definitely contacted by the sense organs. Only then he can know that there is something. But then his aproksha jnanam of Brahman teachers has taught him already that whatever is objectified is unreal also. So anything that is objectified by the subject, that is the Atman, is unreal because the object does not have an existence by itself. It doesn't call out and say that I exist. It's only the subject who has to validate it. So unless the subject validates it, the object does not get any reality at all. So that is how it is, and it is so very nicely explained by so many other areas also. So here we can even think of the case of scientists discovering distant heavenly bodies and all that with the help of very, very powerful telescopes and all that they have done it. But then even those objects which are very, very far away, they have to be validated only by this scientist who is a sentient entity. And when he informs that to the world, when we come to know about it, we only when we come to know about it, those things have an existence in our realm. So in our domain, those things get an existence only when we validate it. So every object, every sentient, insentient, every object is definitely insentient. Sentience or Atman can never become an object at all. So when two persons are conversing with each other, actually what they are doing is they are interacting only with the body-mind complex. They are not interacting with the Atman because Atman will never become an object for either of them. So that is how it is. So only the body-mind complex will be objectified by their sense organs and all that. And that is definitely non-Atman or Anatman, and it is does not have an existence of its own. So anything that has a dependent existence will be mithya because as it is proven in the case of the rope snake. So the superimposed snake there does not have an existence of itself apart from the existence of the rope. So ideally the person should have said there's a rope here. But owing to some defect in the defect of his eye, there might be a defect in his eyes or a defect in the place that is insufficient light is there. So for any such various reasons, he is saying he has considered that or he has concluded that there is a snake there. But actually, and he says there is a snake. So that easiness, when he says that there is snake here, that easiness is actually belonging to the rope there. So the rope's easiness is wrongly transferred by him to the unreal or non-existent snake there. So in the same way, and ultimately when he comes to know that there is rope alone there, the existence that he had attributed to the non-existent snake, everything goes in one shot. So in the same way here also, the body-mind complex, which is the instrument, and the outside world, which is contacted by this body-mind complex, is all Vishya. That is, it's all object for the Atman, that is the Drit, or the subject, that is the Vishayi. So Drit-Surapa. So from that point of view, everything that is objectified is unreal because its existence depends on the existence of the seer or the subject. So the subject is giving it an existence, whereas the subject for himself does not need an existence because it is self-evident, whereas the objects are not self-evident and they are not self-existent. So they need to be validated by someone other than themselves, and that someone invariably has to be a sentient entity. It could be an animal or a bird or whatever, but the objects definitely are not sentient and they are not self-validating also. So that is how the Vedanta presents us the whole topic to us. Nikhilam drishya vishesham driproopatvena pashyatam vidusham. For these jnanis who see the entire world of duality, which is as an object, everything is mithya for them. For them, bandho napi muktihi na paramatmatvam jivatvam. Paramatvam pi jam jivatvam. There is neither bondage nor liberation because his knowledge has given him the firm conclusion. He was never ever bound. That is the idea. So he realizes himself to be that Brahman, which is secondless and which was never ever bound. So I am that Brahman, which was never ever bound, and naturally which will never also never get liberated because there was no bondage at all. So I am that Brahman, and that is secondless Brahman also. So all that past and all that is now gone for him, and he realizes himself to be Brahman in the past, Brahman now, and Brahman in future forever. So in the Panchadashi, we have got a beautiful shloka which is contemplating Masa Abda Yuga Kalpeshu Kadagamyesh Anekadha Nodeti Nastanetyesha Sambhideka Swayam Prabha. So in that shloka, Swami Vidyaranya has beautifully given us a very nice, extremely valuable and extremely interesting idea to contemplate and realize also. So there, Swami Vidyaranya says, he has first arrived at that there is one consciousness which is unchanging, whereas whatever changes which is illuminated or experienced by this consciousness is the changing entities like the waking dream and deep sleep and all that, and all experiences like contacting the senses and getting the sensual experiences and all that by contacting senses and all these things are within the scope of or within the range of these three states like dreaming or waking, dreaming. So these three states occupy our one whole day, and the subject who is experiencing one after the other, that is waking, after that he gets dream, and after that he goes to sleep, and then he wakes up again. So this kind of sequential experience of the three states, these are changing, whereas he remains unchanging. So when the waking is experienced, the dream and deep sleep are not there, but the Atman is there. And when the dream is experienced, waking and deep sleep are not there, and the Atman is there. And when sleep is experienced, Atman is there, and the other two states are not there. So there is no state when the Atman is not there at all. So this Swami Vidyaranya determines for one day. And then he extrapolates it to the two Masa, 1 month, Abda is 1 year, Yuga is extremely very long unit of time, and then Kalpa is even longer. So this consciousness is unchanging, will never ever go out of existence in all the huge time. That time is also a concept which is not real. So he says in that shloka, Masa Abda Yuga Kalpesho Gata Agambhyesho. So whatever past, Masa Abda Yuga Kalpa and all that, whatever has passed and whatever will come in future, in all that time spans, the Atman will never set or arise. So this is ever existing Atman, and we have to identify ourselves as that Atman. So when we look at it this way, what we might think that we have undergone so many births and all that. In future also we might have so many births and all that. But all these are set to when we look at it from this angle. So I am that Atman, which is pure consciousness, which doesn't have a beginning or an end in all the three periods of time, past, present, and future. So that kind of realization this Jnani has got as a firm determination about himself. So for him, there was no bondage at all. It was because there are so many other small logical points are also there. Whatever is changing is not real. So Jagrat comes, goes, dream, Swapnam comes, goes, and when comes, goes, year comes, goes, everything goes. So whatever comes and goes is not real. But what stays there is Atman, and that alone is real. So this also is added to this. And he concludes that there was no bondage at all for me. All that was only an appearance. And definitely, since bondage also itself is not there, there is no real liberation also for me. So then, Paramatmatvam api cha jivatvam. So he doesn't any longer consider himself to be Paramatma. Definitely not Jivatma also. So Jivatma duality was brought in only to transcend that duality. That is the beauty of this Vedanta. Whatever this Vedanta brings in to explain or account for the situation that we find ourselves due to ignorance, that is transcended. The Guru Sri Subramanian used to say that, Kannada he used to say very nicely, Prakriya. See, Prakriya is actually a thesis or a theory. And that theory is conceived of or drawn up by the Shastram in order to counter a concoction that we have made for ourselves due to ignorance. So, Prakriya is there to remove a pratikalpana. So, Prakriya is the pratikalpana, which is there to remove our kalpana. So, our kalpana is at the basis of all this duality and all this bondage and samsara and all that, because it's a product of ignorance. So, the Shastram brings in other theories in order to free us from this basic concoction that we have made for ourselves. So that is the purpose. So when this concoction is removed, the purpose of that counter concoction is not there. So that is also translated. So all things like Jivatma, Paramatma and all that, Mukti, Bandha, Shastram, Sadhana, everything is known to be non-existent now or not relevant any longer in this state that he is finding himself now. So this is the meaning of the shloka. So we will take up the commentary in the next class. Charanadvandvam vandekam patita dussahadvandvam vigrahopashantim vamsamayam yasya vachitam atante. So this Mangala shloka is also so beautiful that it can be related to any shloka in this whole of this text. Because there is Bhranti Amsha, the knowledge Amsha there, and there is a Guru Amsha there, everything is there. Shastram Sharirani Mamsa Devastu Parameshwaraha Acharya Shankaracharya Santume Janma Janmani Vidya Vinaya Sampannam Vedaragam Vivekinam Vande Vedanta Tattvagnam Vidushekara Bharati.